everybody. Welcome back to the show. My name is Ben Barber, and I am your host, obviously, for this show, Breakfast with Ben. It is wonderful to be back with you again. Today, my guest is a wonderful person that I just met last week. She is so warm and caring about everybody, and also just a wonderful and fierce loan officer that I can't wait to introduce you to. She is very good at her job and really cares about the people that she serves. And I had such a great time talking to her in our initial conversation that I needed to get her on the show and have her share all of that with all of you. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce my guest, Susan Caldera. Susan, how are you?
I'm doing great, Ben. It's a delight. It's a delight to be on here, and it's funny. In the past, when people would call me Susan, I'd be like, "No, it's actually."
Oh my God, it's Suzanne.
No, it's quite all right, but it's something that I had to work on because I have to keep a poker face. Because when I was a kid, I used to get teased a lot, and there was a song back in the day that Whitney Houston did that said, "My name is not Susan," and when that song came out. It just a lot of the kids would tease me, so I've learned to just stay calm when people say it. So you know what, my emotional EQ has gotten way better than it was years ago.
Well, my embarrassment level is at like 100 right now. But what I will say about this is what's funny about it is that I was focusing so hard on your last name, which I think I also got wrong, Caldera. And
you've done good.
Okay, excellent. And I wasn't looking, so we're in this like new office setup right now, and I have a camera right here that I'm looking at, but then you're up a little bit, and I didn't want to look up at it to look at your name, so I was just going for it, and I completely messed up. So I'm so sorry. Suzanne Caldera, welcome to the show, and tell me a little bit about yourself. Personally, before we get into the loan stuff.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks a ton for asking and for this opportunity and having me on, Ben. I'm stoked to have this conversation with you. So, a little about me personally. I've been with my wife for 17 years. We just celebrated our 16-year wedding anniversary on November 3rd, which it's crazy because we started as kids and now we're middle-aged ladies. So it's flipping crazy. I grew up mostly in Rhode Island. Depending on who I speak to, I could be from either Massachusetts or Rhode Island. I have a soft spot for Rhode Island. I worked really hard to get a Rhode Island accent and worked really hard to get rid of it. And sometimes I miss it. I grew, my mom remarried, and my mom dragged me to North Providence where my stepfather lived. So that's where I spent the majority of my teenage years as well as my early 20s. The town where I live now, which has been about 18 years, is a place in Massachusetts that I fell in love with when I was a kid. And it was a dream of mine to have a home there. And in 2004 is when I broke ground, and we're still in the house. Absolutely love it. We've got 3 dogs. One of our dogs, our oldest, is going through cancer, and we've got him on a chemo regimen. And initially, the news was dire. It's stage 4 lymphoma. It's now transitioned to stage 5, but we've been able to get almost an additional 6 months with him, and we'll continue to keep paying the big chemo bills as long as we can keep him alive. He's our everything, and yeah. So, and I got into the mortgage industry in 2001 because I was in retail. I was absolutely burnt out. I was about 80 pounds heavier than what I am now. Had a lot of really bad habits. It was a work hard, play hard type of industry, but it was an industry that I learned that I absolutely love dealing with the public. I'm an introvert that's learned to be an extrovert. And I had to learn how to work with different types of people. And I really enjoyed it. What I didn't enjoy about retail was working 90 hours a week and just not having time for a life. And I'd gotten to a point where I said, if this is success, I don't want to be successful. I just want to have a day off and not worry about getting called into work. So I interviewed with a local mortgage lender in the latter part of 2000, started with the company in 2001 and worked there for quite a while, and then fell in love with the industry. And as much as it's got its ups and downs, I love the people. I suck at math. I'm not really that smart. We all have superpowers, and Ben, I'll have to ask you yours. Mine is being able to connect with people and figuring out what's important to them and educating them. And that's what I love. If it just was math, I wouldn't have lasted this long.
Yeah, I feel the same way about my job. Like, I don't really love the technical side of it. Like, sometimes I'll get really into the technical side of things, but really what I love is just the connection with people. And honestly, like, from a mortgage lender, that's what I want. Is I want that warmth and that connection. Um, because, and I've said this a lot on this show. When you're going through a really big decision like purchasing a house, many times it's for the first time, and even if it's not for the first time, it's a huge life transition, and it's very emotional and it's very overwhelming. And you don't want somebody who sees you as numbers and math, because it's not numbers and math to you. The numbers and math are very important, but Suzanne can use a calculator and use computers and do those things to make sure that that part is all perfect. But what you can't replace is the somebody who's going to help you through it and help you understand what those numbers mean. And so connection first, and that being your favorite part of your job, just like that to me is what makes the difference, when you're talking about real estate and purchasing a home or refinancing or whatever it may be that you're doing. Like, that's a if it's not scary, it's at least it's a lot. you know
I 100% agree with you. And I think you've got that superpower of connection. And immediately in speaking on the phone with you, I sensed your warmth and just how you've got that natural inclination to want to connect with people.
Thank you. So what has changed in the mortgage industry? I feel like there are headlines every day about the volatile real estate market, or a burst or boom, or decline, or lack of inventory, all of those things. What to you has changed since 2001 in the real estate market?
Significant changes. Back then, it was, hey, if someone called you and you got a napkin and a pen on your desk, you're going to start writing the information and taking it manually, and a lot of redundancy and data entry and a lot of relying on humans to put things in. And regardless of how good someone is at their job, a human is going to make mistakes. So technology has completely changed the industry. I believe now more than ever, with the advent of AI and how quickly AI is moving, it's moving at such a rapid pace that a lot of old dogs like me may not want to change. They may not want to adapt. I've been fortunate in my career that I'm always trying to be better, and the only person I'm competing with is myself. I may look at others above me and want to emulate them, but I can only focus on what I did yesterday or what I've done in the past in my career. So I'm continually immersing myself in learning, and I think the technology aspect has really changed things, and it's going to be, for some folks, scary to adapt and learn that technology. But for the consumer, it makes it easier, because a lot of the stuff that was done back in 2001 that we don't need to do anymore because the tech has helped us gives more time where you can give more attention, advise better, counsel them better on what they should do, what type of product they should take. But then you're going to have a segment of the population that's not going to want to deal with somebody like me. I'll give you an example, and I heard it at a conference on Monday, or a seminar, I should say. person that was on stage said, look at DoorDash. You're spending $40 on a sandwich when you can just go there and buy it for $12. Why are you doing that? So that segment of the population that wants that, yeah, I mean, you want to address that and you want to work with that. That's not my type of consumer. I really think that you've got to slow it down just a little bit to make certain that the person's making a really good, educated decision. I love using the hashtag be an educated buyer. So I think it's extremely important, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But maybe by that point, I'm out of the industry. But like I said, there's going to be a chunk of the population that won't want to have any interaction and will want to, just pick whatever they want to do a la carte and get things done quickly.
Well, it's I think that the things that AI is a tool, and technology and all of these things are tools that are meant to, and there's a lot of problems with a lot of other things, especially like copyright and artistic, all of that stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, situations like yours, right, with the mortgage industry. Like, it's a tool to help you do the things that take unnecessarily long amounts of time quicker, so that you can focus on the other things more. And it is, farmers didn't always have tractors, and then when they had tractors, they were able to farm more because it was a tool that allowed them to transform the way that they did it, 100 times as fast as they had done it before. And you didn't lose the humanity in farming, and nobody would, like, you go and you meet a farmer today and they're still the hardworking, all of that stuff. It didn't take away any of that. I apologize if you hear the sirens in the background. But it didn't take away any of that. It just made their jobs faster and more efficient and easier in certain ways, and allowed them to grow in other ways. And I think that if you look at stuff like that, it's gonna make it better and easier. And if you use it the right way. The other side of the coin is, you're right. There are going to be people that want an app that they can download, that they can look at houses, they can put in their own information, they can go, oh cool, I got approved for this, But what I was saying was, who doesn't want to do that? People who are overwhelmed completely by the idea of it, and I think that is the vast majority of the population. Like, I'm a millennial, and we have been told for, I don't know, 15 years now, you're never going to be able to afford a home because you eat too much avocado toast, and student loans are piling up, and all of these things. And like, buying a home is the scariest proposition because it's another massive amount of debt. For the majority of us, the last time that we entered into a massive amount of debt, we were, misled, or it was something that we couldn't get out of, or it had such a negative connotation to it that that I think it makes people a little shy to jump into it, even more so than whether or not they're financially ready. And you may not know that you're financially ready. You may be like, rent is so high right now that in many cases, in a lot of cases, in most cases, it would be cheaper for you to buy and pay a mortgage. But a lot of people don't even think that they could, and those people are never going to download an app to see it, because they're going to need to talk to somebody that cares about their situation, that's willing to listen to them, that's willing to wade through the 15-minute story of anxiety about it before getting to the math. And that human interaction and that human touch is so important. And if you're able to spend more time on that human interaction, and then put in an algorithm, put in something into an algorithm that helps you do the math of it, and the what's available, and are you going to get pre-approved for and able to do that part faster, it means that you can spend more time with those people, and that's beautiful.
I agree. There's many times I'll have, so in my process, I'll give you a real short overview of what it is. I always have a loan consultation with the client, whether it be a phone call or a Zoom. And during that time, it's understanding what their needs are and their wants. And a lot of times it's uncovering the fear, and the fear will come out in moments where I can almost see, and I do love when it's Zoom, although I realize it's a good idea to give choice. Some people don't like the idea of being on camera, and I want to be respectful for that. But the moment when I see something change in their face or in their eyes, and I know that they're comfortable and they feel safe and they understand that, you know what, I'm just a human like you. I just happen to found an industry and a career that I love, but I've got the same fears and have gone through the real estate process a number of times with other properties that we've owned and bought and sold and stuff like that. So I just think that there is also a gap in education for consumers on the mortgage process and how it works and how to understand your finances, how to understand your credit. I don't think a lot of those things are taught. I mean, the nice thing is you have Google and everything's transparent, and and if you're really resourceful, you can find anything. And there's times where clients will come back to me and say, "Hey, we didn't talk about this. I found this online." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm not the all-knowing. Did I mess up? Or oh, you know what? I didn't look at that one for you because of X, and here's why. Here's why I didn't bring that one up." Or if it was a human thing on my end, going, "Wow, well, I'm glad you brought that up. Let's explore that a little bit further." So I think to have longevity in this industry, you have to maintain a certain amount of humility as well as compassion. And sometimes at this stage of the game, 20 plus years, or people that are doing it longer than me, sometimes they forget that. And I think you've got to go back to that day one loan officer mentality of you're brand new, and what does that feel like? And when it was your first house, if you weren't, especially if you weren't in the industry, first time I bought, I wasn't in the mortgage industry yet. So
Yeah, absolutely. The financial literacy of the 99% of people in this country is awful because of it's not taught. And by the way, that includes me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And yeah, you can Google it, and you can go on YouTube, and you can teach yourself things, but there's sometimes what I've found when talking to other people about their lack of financial literacy is shame. And and those are the types of things, like, because it's not taught in schools as much as it should be, or because it's not something that's everyday knowledge or whatever, people aren't even Googling this stuff, or they Google it and then they get overwhelmed, and it's like a lack of preparedness, and I just think that having people like yourself who are educated on the matters and also care really makes a difference. And the same thing is, it's not just kids, right? It's not just and millennials aren't kids anymore. They're in their 30s and early 40s. They're not kids anymore, but they are like this forgotten generation in a lot of ways when it comes to the financial aspects of things. And it's not everybody. There's a lot of millennials out there that are buying homes and doing great, and paid their student loans off, and et cetera, et cetera. And there's a lot that didn't have the opportunities that they thought that they were going to have when they went to college and did those things. But a lot of older adults that I have talked to have no financial literacy skills, and they have no financial literacy skills. And if I've spoken to several people who, when they okay, a lot of older adults that I've met have a real financial literacy problem, specifically like widows or widowers who their spouse handled the finances. Like, I know a lot of people who the husband paid the bills and then the husband dies, and now this person's in their 70s and they don't know what's happening, and they don't know how to pay their bills, and they don't know how to do these sort of simple things, and then their shame level grows. Like they become very ashamed of it. So it's all age levels deal with this.
I so agree with you. And I think shame for a lot of people will sometimes make them turtle, where they don't want to ask for help, where they've got embarrassment. And I think it's important to make people feel safe and to make them feel that, hey, you know what? I am not here to judge you. And unfortunately, some in my industry will do that. Some in my industry will put themselves on a pedestal of like, hey, here's me, here's you, consumer. And no, I think we need to be aligned in serving the consumer and meeting them where they need to be met, even if they're almost 70, which I've got folks right now that are buying a place. My goodness, I'm embarrassed because they were looking in both states, either Vermont or Maine. I'm just forgetting which state right now. They're almost 70, buying their very first home. And as a trust factor, it was so important to them to have someone that they trusted. Luckily, I'm good friends with their daughter, so that's how they came to me. But I could sense that. I could sense that fear and that nervousness. And again, that's one of the things that I'm really good at is just saying and making people feel safe, and also letting them know that I don't care if you ask me the same thing 15 times. Keep asking it. I love when people ask questions, and ask a ton of them, because this is the biggest thing that they may ever do in their lives.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money,
Absolutely.
Regardless of how many zeros the price has.
It is. There's no house that's like, oh yeah, I got that house for $600. That doesn't happen. Like it's a, whether you're talking about purchasing a home for $200,000 or $2 million, that's a lot of money. And whoever you are, whatever that price range is, probably among, if not the most expensive purchases of your life. Like, this is the biggest asset that you have. This is the biggest purchase that you're making. You're because of your borrowing power and whatever, and your income, like, your house is going to be a significant chunk of your income and resources and all of those things. So if it's $250,000, that is a certain portion of your income and your financial stability. And if it's 2 million, that's the probably roughly the same portion of it, and either way, it's a big deal to whoever's purchasing those things. And that can be stressful for everybody. Very few people ever just go buy a house and they're like, yeah, how much is it? Cool, I'll pay cash and I don't care. Like, it's very few people ever.
I'm going to surprise you with something, with a stat. I think it's either 22 or 25% of home purchases year to date have been cash.
So cash, yes, but cash and I don't care about it.
All right. Yes, you're absolutely right in that regard. Yeah.
Sure. Like, you may pay cash, but generally speaking, you're not like, I'm paying cash and this isn't a big deal and I don't care.
All right. You're not doing this.
Yeah. Some people are.
They are. And you know what? Not my type of clients.
What would you say is something that a first time home buyer should know right now?
They definitely should know their budget. They definitely should know where their money's going, what they're spending their money on, and number two, they definitely should know what's on their credit report.
Yeah, so huge. I literally in between and I'm embarrassed by this, but in between us talking for the first time a couple weeks ago and today, so at some point in between this, and not because of this, like I'm not trying to purchase a house right now or anything. I just literally hadn't looked at my budget uh for like my monthly, like I knew my monthly income and I roughly knew my expenses and I knew that I was, getting by and whatever. But I hadn't gone like, how much do I pay in subscriptions every month for stuff? What are things that I can cancel? Like what are like I had newspaper subscriptions for online newspapers that I purchased in 2022 that I had no reason to have, and I'm paying $19 a month for it, and I just never looked. There's redundancies on things that were there that all really added up. I mean, it literally added up to saving hundreds of dollars a month just cutting out a bunch of stuff that I didn't look at. Like, and that was those are big moments, but like, I don't like looking at my bank account because I don't want to go through that. I don't want to know how much money I spent on, going out to dinner uh, with friends or even for work. And I should, because the work stuff is a tax right off, but I don't want to, it's stressful. Like money is stressful. And it's something where the more you look at it, the less stressed you'll become about it. But man, starting is a pain in the butt.
Starting sucks. It
Yeah.
really does, because that's when that's when you have to. And it's funny because my wife and I are two different, completely different personalities, which I guess is good and why we've lasted. But financially, I'm the type, like, I want it, I'll figure out how to pay for it. So we had to, especially after the mortgage crash in 2008, just really get our arms around, like, whoa, I'm spending way too much and income's gone down. There was a crash back then that some of your listeners may be aware of. And as a result, my income went down a lot. And, I still liked that lifestyle. So that was a little hard. But in the house, she's the home CFO. I make a joke, I call her home boss. Home boss does the stuff that I don't like. Now, if I didn't have home boss, I'd have to do that. And that's sometimes not fun to do. And if anyone that's listening or watching this, if you're that type of person, you just got to figure out how to do it. We all have things in life that we do that we hate. And you just have to think like, okay, maybe I'll gamify it, or maybe I'll be more goal orientated and I'll think about buying a house, or maybe I'm the type, I've got to be old school and I got to write down reminders so I don't forget stuff, or I've got to put it in my calendar, or I've got to text myself, whatever it is, so that you can get your arms around it, because owning real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth. And what a lot of people don't realize is retirement comes really fast and life goes by really fast, and Social Security is not going to cut it. It does not. You can't sustain a life just earning that. So real estate ought to be one piece of investments, as well as a stock account or a brokerage account, a 401k, maybe owning additional properties, or looking at buying a business, or other ways that you can make income. And again, that's why I'm very bullish on real estate, and know personally what it's done for us, as well as what I've seen it do for consumers. But the other thing is also forgiveness, and be nice to yourself. I'm the type that'll beat myself up. So if you're a mindless Amazon shopper, or you just, I don't know, have some type of magnet that draws you to Starbucks all the time, stop. you got to figure it out. Like I have this written down. Oh shoot, I just dropped it. But it was something a mentor said to me, said, hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life. So the going out, the partying all the time, or the going out to dinner every single day of the week, or anytime someone asks you to go to Twin River or Foxwoods, you say yes, or go away on trips, or, that you're just constantly doing that. It prevents you from what the potential of your future self can be. And your future self could be becoming a homeowner. And maybe that's somebody that might be listening. So I wish I could find that. I just dropped it.
And I've also heard it said, choose your hard, because something in life is going to be hard. Like, your life can be hard, or it's what do I want to do? Do I want to save some money and budget, and that will be difficult? Or do I want to be in a situation where I have to pay, almost double what I would be paying for a mortgage for rent, because I don't have any other choice, like stuff like that, right? Like, and obviously, that can relate to fitness and business and work and all of those things. Like, to do the short-sighted, what feels good in the moment, or whatever, is because the other thing seems hard. You're giving yourself more difficulty in the future. So you're choosing what your hard is.
Yeah.
This has been an amazing conversation. I really enjoyed it. You are fantastic to talk to, as always. Is there anything that you'd like to give for advice, or something you want to leave people with before we say goodbye?
Yeah, certainly, Ben. I think the biggest thing is to start. The best thing is to start early. I think the best type of buyer is an educated buyer. So find a lender that you trust. Hey, hopefully it's me. You can find me on YouTube. If you Google my YouTube, that's been an ongoing project and passion project of building it out and having it be a hub for consumers on education and ways that people can empower themselves. But I always like to say to people, it's never too soon to start with a lender, even if you're thinking that it might not be for 2 years or 3 years that you're going to be ready to buy a home. Because the worst time to start is when you see it online and you want to buy it right away, because that may not be the right house. And there could be so many other things that could have been prevented if you started earlier.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Suzanne. This has been a pleasure. I would love to have you back on the show and to talk more about this and anything else that comes up. Can you tell people, do you have socials that people can find you, or the name of your YouTube channel? That we're going to link the YouTube channel down below in the description of this episode. But where can people find you, or a phone number or email address or anything like that, if people are looking to talk to a wonderful mortgage lender and see what they can do to get started?
Thank you. And again, it was my pleasure to be on here. I'm so grateful that you asked me. Best way is the cell. It's 401-480-3670. And my name's Suzanne Caldera. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and on X.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Suzanne. It has been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate it. And everybody else, thank you so much. We will see you next time. Bye for now.
I'm Michael Kiefer. I'm the owner of Kiefer's Martial Arts here in Westerly. We're here to help people. So with kids, yeah, they're kicking and punching and blocking, and they're learning self-defense, and they're getting a workout. Martial arts is physical, but we're also trying to embed those character development lessons into their classes as well. perseverance and a daunting spirit. We get many referrals for kids that maybe have ADD or ADHD, or kids that are maybe having some behavior problems. And it's not to say I have a magic wand. Those are definitely things that we're going to work on with them. We always have a 2-week trial program. So if anybody's like, wow, that sounds pretty cool, but I just don't know if my kid is gonna like it, and I don't want to be locked in, then you do the 2-week trial. I'm going to give you a uniform, a private lesson, and you can come to classes for 2 weeks. So for people that are unsure, that's a great way to go about it.